Cary Bolling here for Big Cabbage Radio, and I don't know about you, but I love movies. Old, new, there's always something interesting about them to me. And today, I'm interviewing an individual who grew up right here in Palmer, Alaska, eventually made his way to the fabled land of movies, Los Angeles, and worked for Warner Brothers Studios, which is pretty impressive in itself, but what I think is quite unique is he came back here and shot a short film, which will be entered into a number of film festivals this year. He's hosting an invitation-only private screening for cast and crew at the Valley Cinema in Wasilla on May 20th, and the name of the film is Revenge of the Language Master. And the creator, producer, director here with me today is Mike Beeson. Welcome back to town, Mike.
Thanks. It's always nice to be back.
Yeah, because you guys still have family here.
Yeah. I just don't usually come back in during breakup. It's not the prettiest time, but it's nice. It's nice.
Okay, now, before we get into talking about your film, let's talk a little bit about you. I know that growing up, you played around with making movies, and how did you get started with that? I mean, what was your inspiration?
I think my dad bought the box set of Star Wars VHS tapes from Costco coming home from work one day. I think the hype from how excited my brothers were is what made me a fan before I even saw the movie. But the other one was my grandma gave me a Nick Park tape of the guy who does
Wallace and Gromit.
Yeah, but his early stuff, so it seemed more like something that I could do. It was more accessible. And then my aunt owned an Asian grocery store down in Wisconsin, and every summer our family would go down there, and my mom would talk to her, and then me and my cousins would just watch kung fu movies in the back, endless kung fu movies. So I think all three of those coming together is just, one day I asked my dad to borrow his camera, and he actually said yes, which I wasn't expecting him to do. And then I had a comrade in arms, my best friend, a man named Lee Bolling. You may know him.
Yes, I do know him. He is my son. Yes.
Also found him a dork spirit in him, and we both made movies together. And I kind of just went unchecked.
So you did. You started off with doing what, stop motion kind of animation?
Yeah, it was like Legos and clay. Some of them have survived, and I go back and check them out every once in a while. It's kind of fun.
Now we're going to jump ahead a little bit.
Okay.
How did you come to be working for Warner Brothers, and what did you do there?
Oh man, that's a whole lifetime story. I'll compress it down into the Cheetos version. I served in the Air Force for 10 years as an officer. Wanted to see the world and travel as much as I could, and didn't quite go that way. They sent me to Montana, but I think the intent was always to drive out to LA and give it a shot. Maybe a little smarter, a little wiser. So I did the thing where you drive out to LA with a trunk full of your worldly possessions, not knowing a soul, and just by blind luck ended up in the mailroom pushing carts around a talent agency. SCAA, which is a talent agency for basically any celebrity that you can think of, is probably represented there. I didn't know what an agency did, but it's like the informational hub of the entire Hollywood industry, and a fantastic place for you to start, but impossible to get into. And I just blind luck raised my hand when the HR rep was looking to hire veterans. But then from there ended up at DreamWorks for a couple years, and then ended up at Warner Brothers doing trailers and billboards, and basically anything that you see about a movie before the movie comes out came through our creative department, radio spots and TV spots and whatever it is. So it was, you would think that it's just like marketing business, but it's actually closer to the filmmaking process than you think, because you have to work with the director while the movie's being shot and ask them to film certain scenes first so that we can use those scenes to put them in a trailer or a teaser like a year before the movie's even out.
Really?
Yeah, and then like a lot of the trailers and TV spots are kind of used as test beds for color correction and testing like the final look of a film. Like Suicide Squad, as you look at the teasers and trailers as they went through the campaign from the beginning to the end, you can see they honed in on their final color scheme. And the look of the film is fantastic.
Okay, so you mentioned Suicide Squad. So what were some of the other films that you worked on that people may know about?
Dunkirk was a absolute joy to work with.
That's Christopher Nolan was a director on that.
Yeah, working with him was like an incredible model to like base how I would like to run my productions and be as professional. Everyone's on their toes when he comes by. It's great. Wonder Woman was another one. Fantastic movie. Patty Jenkins knows her stuff. Those are the two that I was like the most proud to work on.
Well, didn't you have something to do with Trolls, the movie Trolls movies?
Yeah, the first Trolls movie, I was the assistant. That was at DreamWorks. I was the assistant for both the producer and the director, which is kind of like being the assistant for the parents. Because the producer and director, there's just differences in what each of those positions wants. One wants a film that makes money, and one wants to express a message to the audience. So they would argue and then come to me and talk to me about it. So it was incredibly educational. I like animation. I used to make claymations in my basement. So let's see what this is about. And just how a studio works, all the departments, and why essentially a credits sequence at the end of a movie is like 1,000 people. And it's nice off of this short film that it was kind of surprising to see, even for a 7-minute short film. I was like, this many people worked on a short film, and it truly is. That's when you realize the theory that it's a collaborative medium, but only when you make a film do you truly understand the nature of like how a film does not exist without even the smallest participation from the most random person. It all hinges on that one thing. Yeah,
well, good. Well, I'm glad we're getting back to Revenge of the Language Master. So tell us about that, and how did it come about?
I mean, it actually happened to me when I was a kid, and it's difficult to explain. It was a tough story to tackle because it requires so much setup. There's a machine, it records voices, it plays them back, and we had to play with it as a kid. And if you're left unsupervised as a kid, you and your friends are just going to like record swear words into this thing. And then later, the teacher used this machine without knowing what was on the machine. And so she was like playing this lesson, and we got in serious trouble for it. But I thought it was kind of funny because we got yelled at and admonished, but like no actually lasting trouble came from it, to the point where no one seems to actually remember it except for me. It's frustrating. My whole life, I've just kind of liked the Russian roulette aspect of it, of she plays these cards and you don't know if it's going to be a card with the industry recording on it or if it's going to be a card with you saying curse words. So I figured it was a good test bed story to see if we could put to screen and build some kind of suspense.
How long did it take to plan and shoot and edit and produce?
The pre-production process was nice. I had a cushion. My neighbor, who's made a bunch of films, he just said, give yourself a shoot date, a start date for your shoot, and you'll find a way to make everything that needs to happen. And it was actually fantastic advice. I gave myself 3 months for pre-production. I think anybody who's ever shot a film will understand that no matter how well you plan it, it still just derails while you're shooting. But it's the degree to which you plan for those mistakes to handle all the shaky things. And I got advice not to shoot with kids. I got advice not to shoot it in Alaska. But I was like, well, let's just see what happens. And you thrive off that youthful ignorance and in order to make something happen.
And so what were your favorite parts of the production?
Oh, it's by far working with the kids. I understand what people mean, don't shoot with kids, because they're just agents of chaos. Like there's no way to control it. And if there's anything you need on a movie set, it is some degree of control. And with 12 kids who grew up in Palmer, Alaska, if they're anything like I was, it was a blast to work with them because things happened. There was vomit involved at one point. I won't say who. And another one is like, it was very hot on set, so a PA ran to go get some popsicles, and it turned all the kids' tongues blue in the middle of the day. So we had to deal with that. And one actor didn't show up on the first day, and we couldn't shoot without them. So it's funny to laugh at now, but at the time I was, watching dollars just being spent and not moving forward.
And you financed this whole thing yourself?
Yes, I broke the number one rule of Hollywood, which is do not fund your own pictures. I split it half with an angel investor, a guy by the name of Michael C. On, family friend, brother's friend, and he He knew that investing in short film is not a return type of investment. He's a patron of the arts, and we basically split it 50-50, so the film wouldn't exist without him.
Well, besides this showing, which is going to happen on May 20th, and it's a private screening, right? It's not for the public.
Correct.
What are your plans for the film?
The plans are to let it run the film festival circuit as best we can, and the reason the screening is private is because we need to. It's technically not a premiere, so that we can keep that premiere status for whichever film festival decides to accept it first. We aimed pretty high production quality. The guys who mixed the sound trailers at Warner Brothers did the sound for the film, and the guys on the Warner Brother lot did the final color for it. So technically, it'll look and sound great. So we're being evaluated solely on merit, which is kind of scary, or the quality of the storytelling, which is a big burden to bear. But yes, it'll be rounding film festivals, ideally around the United States, with a couple international appearances if we can swing it, and then maybe I think there's a film festival in Anchorage. Would be nice to do.
Yeah, the Anchorage International Film Festival happens in December, so hopefully people be able to see it there. And also, can they follow you on social media or about the film on social media? Yeah.
There's a Facebook page. Just look up Revenge of the Language Master. It'll take you right there. Made sure to make the title unique so you don't get... There will be no errors in Google. If you look up Revenge of the Language Master, you will find our film. And then that's the company we set up was Daredevil Hill, and that's the Instagram that it'll be at Daredevil Hill. And we'll keep you posted on where we end up screening.
All right. Well, great. Well, thank you very much, Mike. Is there anything else you'd like to add, or?
No. Cross your fingers, and we'll screen it hopefully locally here for as many people as we can.
Great. Well, that's Mike Beeson. His short film, Return of the Language Master, is at the Valley Cinema May 20th. Thanks for talking with me, Mike.
Thanks for having me.
And good luck with your future endeavors. Hopefully, folks will get a chance to see it at the Anchorage International Film Festival this December as well. This is Cary Bolling for Big Cabbage Radio. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you at the movies.